That's what Come on, Jim. All right, this meeting of the Sewer Authority Midcoastside to order on July 8th, 2024. Do we have any comments from members of the public or items not on the agenda? Oh, Aaron, we're so sad.
Don't we need a roll call first?
Okay, sure. Yeah. We need a roll call, please. I knew I was missing something.
Director Clark.
Here.
Director Arbach. Here. He's alternating for Director Penrose, and Director Boyd here, alternating for Director Decker, and Director Slater-Carter.
Present.
Director Ruddock.
Here.
Chair Dye.
Here. Thank you. Sorry. All right, now, comments?
My name is Aaron Gilbert. I've been an operator here for about 2 years, and I've been given an opportunity to be the plant manager over at Palo Alto and their facility. It's a bittersweet thing for me. I really love the people here in Sam. I love being part of the community, but the opportunity was hard to refuse. And so grateful, especially for Kishan and Tim, also the operators. The crew here is a really, really good crew. They all work really hard, and I'm sad to be leaving, but grateful for my new opportunity. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate all the opportunities here.
Well, thank you for all you
Thank
did
you
for
so
us.
much for all you did, and it's a huge loss. When will you be going?
The 19th will be my last day here.
Well, just don't forget, if you know anybody to fill a spot here, send them over.
I've been telling people already.
Yeah. It's a big loss.
So sad.
Anything else?
I was just reading, and Jeremy, you're gonna have to fill me in on this, my mind's a little blank from fireworks. But that Governor Newsom just signed in a new bill about putting caps on the amount of water that cities and communities can use.
Permanent restrictions.
Permanent restrictions. And of course, my immediate concern was, as members of a water district, and we're all on water districts, the state forced us 20 years ago to, as enterprise districts, to make money on the volume of water that we sold. Now we're going to have a cap on the amount of water we can sell once a community gets up there. And and it's the same for the water district. There's going to be a cap on the flow in here. So I'm very concerned about how this is going to affect the finances of water and sewer and our ability to keep infrastructure up to date, particularly with all the rules the state keeps putting on us that require huge expenditures.
For housing.
And for housing, yes.
How's that gonna fit in with the state's housing policy?
Anyway, that's my recollection. Please correct me if you're, maybe.
I think you've largely summarized it correctly, Director Slater-Carter. I guess the one clarification I would make is that this is actually the result of an administrative process that began a couple years ago with a bill by Laura Friedman, Assemblywoman, that was during the last big drought. And as you recall, we've had a couple of wet years, but it was to require the State Water Board to then go forward and come up with regulations to make conservation a permanent way of life. And they came up with performance standards and water budgets for all these different agencies. If you're a urban water supplier, which typically means you have more than 2,500 connections, or you serve more than 2,500 acre feet. So some agencies may not actually be required to comply. It's something you'll need to take a closer look at with your council. But in any event, the concerns you've raised, it's probably more of an issue for the member agencies and less for SAM directly. I guess the issue on SAM is going to be there's likely to be less flow in the future. How much more, how much less, I don't know. But if you have to comply with it, and you're required to basically potentially penalize your ratepayers for going above and beyond the water budget you set for them. One, it's not going to make people very happy, and two, you potentially are going to have less water, less sales to spread across your fixed costs, your debt service, things of that nature. So for those who have debt service. So yeah, it's a big issue for some agencies, and for some agencies, it'll probably be less of an issue. So happy to discuss that with you at offline if you think that'd be helpful to you.
I'd like to have it, if it's okay with the president, chair, and with the general manager, that we have a more thorough discussion on this, because it's something that's going to affect everyone on the coast into the future. And I'm also curious, I guess the Supreme Court decision only applies to federal agencies and not to state agencies.
That is correct. Yeah, the overruling of Chevron, that's the Loper Bright versus Raimondo case. That's
Right.
still a lot of press in the media. It will have a big impact in some ways, but it's more along the lines of federal rulemaking. So,
Okay.
give an example of that's the CARB, California Resources Board, has recently been passing some regulations that would essentially prohibit the internal combustion engine and carbon-based fuels, things of that nature. And then EPA had to approve that. So that's and so the question is, and so then do the federal courts have to defer to EPA's interpretation? That's a proper exercise of California's authority under the Clean Air Act. California has special authority under the Clean Air Act. So anyway, that's an example. It is largely a federal agency issue, though. I agree with you.
Good, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Catherine. Anything else? No? All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. Does anyone want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Discuss. Okay, we have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? Go ahead for roll call, please.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Ryback,
Yes.
Director Boyd,
Aye.
Director Slater Carter,
Yes.
Director Ruddock,
Yes.
Chair Dye.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will note that it shows that we are putting more of our cash into the special funds. Pay a higher rate, which is good. It's well done to the team who's made that happen. So thank you. Moving on to regular business, authorize general manager to issue an RFP for progressive design build for design and construction of the Sam's Intertie pipeline system line located in Montera. Staff report.
Yes, so the Sam's Intertie pipeline system, which is located in Montera, requires to be replaced, and we have a court order that requires the complete installing of the force main to be done by June 2026. Therefore, in February of this year, the SAM Board of Directors approved a plan for replacement of this, going out for an RFQ and thereafter for an RFP. Apparently, the California State Legislature passed 3 bills in 2023, which helped public agencies with various types of infrastructure projects, of which SB 706 is the one which expands all the progressive design bill. So with that in mind, the board approved approved the staff to go out for an RFQ. So staff went out for a request for qualifications, and we publicly advertised these SOQs. We received the SOQs, shortlisted the teams, discussed it with member agency managers and engineers, and arrived at 3 firms who could possibly participate in the RFP out of the 4 that we've received. So we have the staff report, which is pretty much gives you a little bit detail of it. And we also have Tanya from SRT Consultants, who's going to give us a short PowerPoint regarding the process of progressive design build, which we plan on proceeding with, and which is also stated in the RFP, the draft package, which is attached to the staff report. So over to you, Tanya, you can take over.
Actually, Tanya, are you going to talk about exactly what design build means?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit briefly, but we can expand if you'd like. We will have the.
Well, I just think for the public it would be good to explain what we're doing here. And also the fact that I don't think SRT is not going to be bidding on this project. You're helping with going out for the proposals, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I share my screen, Kishan, or?
Yeah, I
Okay.
will, yes, I've been control. You should be able to share.
Um, Thank you, Kishan. Madam Chair, members of the board, presentation has a few slides where I'm gonna totally bore you, I hope. But some of it will be repetitive from what you just heard from the town manager. We know that the pipeline has been in operation for over 40 years and approaches the end of its life, has been experiencing a series of failures which result in sanitary sewer overflows. Last February of this year, your honorable board approved a plan for the replacement utilizing a progressive design build approach. You'll see in the next slides, it's used, the acronym was used as PDB, or I would say design build, but we're talking about a progressive design build with the goal of completing the replacement of the pipeline by the court order deadline of June 30th, 2026. The scope, the project will replace the remaining ductile iron portion of the pipeline. Some of the portions have been replaced already when they broke. The storm of 2022, December 31st. Just a little over 13,000 linear feet of the ductile iron pipeline will be replaced with a new high-density polyethylene pipe parallel to the existing pipe within SAM's easements, and will have a similar hydraulic diameter to maintain the hydraulic capacity. At your February 12th meeting, your honorable board authorized staff to issue requests for qualifications and solicit statements for qualifications from prospective design build teams. So what is progressive design build? It's a relatively new alternative project delivery method that offers advantages of schedule compression and cost containment compared to traditional design bid build. It's an integrated contracting and delivery approach, which means this board will be approving a contract with a single entity for both design and construction services. And there will be single project responsibility, as opposed to the traditional approach where an engineer will design and then the bid documents will be advertised and then contractors would bid, but that is there were two separate entities, the designer and the builder. In this case, there will be one entity, design builder. And as the general manager mentioned, that this process is compliant with FD 706 for public contracts, progressive design build for local agencies. And there are a couple of other builds that are also relevant to this process. There are two phases in this contract. First phase is where the design builder will develop the scope, schedule, the basis of design, and preliminary engineering consistent with the established budget and quality expectations to deliver the project. The result of this phase is very important. The design builder will arrive at what is called GMP, a guaranteed maximum price. In phase two, the design builder and the agency, SAM, will agree on commercial terms, including a GMP. Then the design builder will perform the final design and construct the project. However, if the GMP is not acceptable to you, to this board, and the agreement is not reached, then SAM has the ability to stop the project at the 100% design level and not to proceed with construction with this team.
Can I ask a question here?
Oh, absolutely. Yes,
When does the environmental review happen?
during the design phase, phase one.
So it would have already happened at this point.
No, sorry, let me go back. Once
It's the base of the design, not the design. No, it's 100% design level.
once the board approves the selection of the team, which we don't have it yet, then this team will do all the work required to deliver the project, which means to arrive at the guaranteed maximum price, which majorly involves all the permitting and environmental review.
Okay, thank you.
What was presented in February and the board approved the following is the selection process steps. Publicly advertise for SOQs, that has been done. Receive and review the SOQs, that is also has been completed. Shortlist the teams to receive requests for proposals. We're going to talk about this later today. Issue the RFP to shortlisted proposers and receive proposals and recommend the top proposer for board approval. The step one was to develop the RFQ, and it was publicly advertised on March 12th. The SOQs were received from 4 design-build teams. This is very exciting because this step showed that we were able to solicit 4 very qualified teams. The teams consist of a construction contractor and engineer. So the contractor is a prime, with the engineer as a sub to the contractor. We received SOQs from Anderson Pacific with Waterworks Engineers, Mountain Cascade with Corolla, McGuire and Hester with M&S, and Garney Construction with GHD. All of these are reputable, known firms, and both engineers and the contractor. So this is a very good selection of teams. The SOQs were reviewed by staff in consultation with the member agencies, engineers, and managers, and the following shortlist was developed: Mountain Cascade and Corolla, McGuire and Hester and M&S, Anderson Pacific Waterworks Engineers. Those 3. Current step is to develop the draft RFP, which you have in the packet tonight, and solicit your approval to issue the RFP to the shortlisted proposals. That's the current step in the form of proof by legal counsel. The next steps, once this step is complete, the RFP will be issued to prospective design-build teams. We received and reviewed the proposals, identify a recommended top team, and solicit the board approval to negotiate with the top-ranking team. Additional consideration, again, I think that's very important to note. If following notice to proceed to the design-build team, if SAM and the design builder are unable to reach the agreement for the guaranteed maximum price, the design builder will finish design work only and not proceed with construction if it doesn't fit the SAM's budget. The design work will be then brought to 100% completion by the team to allow SAM to publicly bid the project to others. And last but not least is the proposed schedule currently. We're here July 8th, seeking board approval to issue the RFP with a goal to receive proposal from the 3 teams on September 6th. The board approval to negotiate with the top proposer will be asked for October 14th. in a month, the approval of the design contract will be brought to the board for approval. And the design, phase one design complete, and GMP received by May 31st, 2025. Now, the beauty of this process is that it's a very short period of time, as you can see, it's 6 months, less than that, to get to the GMP. However, the team can initiate the environmental review, all the permitting, to the point where they know what their constraints are, and continue doing so during the construction. And that's why the schedule compression is made possible by this process. The board will have an opportunity to approve phase two, the construction contract, in July of next year. So a year from now, there will be an opportunity, there will be a contract presented for board approval. And with construction substantially complete by June 30th of 2026, a year later. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Director Reddick.
Oh, thank you, Tanya. It seems to me that schedule is rather luxurious. It seems like, there's a lot of time in there for basically a pipeline. I'm just wondering, I'm kind of concerned about, ERF deadlines and how these deadlines and the schedule sort of dovetail with that. We had talked about perhaps an extension. It looks like based on this schedule, we don't need one. It just seems like there's a lot of time between steps here that maybe, as far as our engineer is concerned, maybe seems a little bit, I don't want to use the word padded, but, robust, a robust schedule with lots of time in it.
Can you put the schedule back up, please?
That was me, but I can put it back on.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep.
No, not this, the schedule, Tanya's presentation. Tanya?
Yes,
Yeah, that one.
There we go.
Yeah. 2 months from receiving the EDP proposals and the design contract award, it seems on the face of it a little excessive. Since we're all worried about schedule here, I wonder if we could expedite that process a bit.
You mean shorten the process from?
Yeah, shorten it.
2 months.
Is that a matter of alignment against normal SAM meetings? Like, we get the proposals in, and then we need the board to approve negotiating with the top proposer. I presume the staff needs time to go through the proposals and then provide guidance on, which one looks like the best one to select. I would imagine that's gonna take some time. We're gonna have 3 very detailed things, right? So that first interval seems, I don't know, it's a month, but maybe it takes that much time. But that second interval, I was kind of feeling the same thing. It's like, I'm watching the clock play here.
It just seems like,
I'm curious, are the general managers from each of the districts going to be involved in this project?
that was my follow-up
Yes.
question.
The general history has been that slows the process down incredibly.
Yeah, so what happens is, what we've done with SOQs, we've had a meeting with the member agency engineers and with the member agency managers. And then we bring it to the board after we need to make any changes or receive their comments and make any changes in the document.
And what happens if a manager can't make those meetings? Does that just slow the process down even further? Or do we proceed without that particular?
No, in the past, we've never proceeded without. We always give them a chance and we keep pushing the meetings to make sure that everybody's available. So if
And I
somebody's
know-
not available second week, then we push it to the third week. But
I know there's some history of that, so.
I would like to just confirm that the agency managers would be able to weigh in on the selection of the team. You know, when you're looking at the proposals after you've received them, seems to me it would be good for the general managers to have a chance to give input into the selection as a person.
Yeah.
I would think so, yes?
I would hope, since we have a calendar in front of us, that people could go ahead and schedule that time now in anticipation of receiving it on the 14th or on September 6th. That would be a firm deadline for receipt of the proposals.
Correct.
So we should be able to do some scheduling today
With the managers.
with the managers to, they need time to look it over, but then as timely as possible.
Well, in some cases, the member agency manager would actually have, our consultant look at it, right? So it's
Sure.
not just the member agency manager. it's the
But we have enough lead time now that we shouldn't have a miss because one of three can't make a date. But we should be able
I
to
mean,
block a date
a
now.
month is too much from getting the proposals to,
I don't think that one's
selection.
necessarily too much, but as you look at it, the 6
it's a month between each of these steps.
except.
I think you're
November.
going to need it. This is actually a really complex process. It requires negotiations. It's a kind of a unique procurement approach that requires a lot of back and forth with the potential designer. There's different milestones that have to be hit along the way. I would give yourself some flexibility here. In fact, I would just recommend to the board here that this be a conceptual schedule, but not lock in, because you may have to adjust as things develop.
So how does this dovetail with the ERF issue, trying to get we were talking about an extension until 2027?
Yes, that's a closed session discussion, but I will say that that is a possibility. So that's under consideration now. That may be possible.
Yeah, but as of now, since we haven't got anything in writing other than June 30th, 2026, we have laid down the schedule based on what is presently agreed upon.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would just keep this. This is a good. It's a good schedule, and there may be things that can be done faster for sure. But just keep in mind that this is going to be an iterative process that is likely going to result in having to deviate from some of the milestones listed here.
Having just gone through a mitigated negative declaration, which took more than a year, I'm concerned about where, again, I'm sure you fit it in here, but where and how I see that we're the lead agency for the CEQA report, review of the project, but that happens between, where does that happen?
Between phase 1 and board approval of phase 2.
What about environmental review of phase 1?
The environmental review is for the construction project, right? That's what's, phase 1 is when it happens, yes. The environmental review will happen in phase 1.
So between November 11th, 2024 and May 31st, 2025 is when,
That's right.
when does construction of phase 1 start?
After July 14th, 2025.
Yeah, so you'd have to have your CEQA completed prior to July 14th, 2025, if in fact that's when the construction contract's awarded, because you can't have an irreversible commitment of resources prior to construction.
So there's no construction before July 14th, 2025?
Correct.
It's a two-phase design. I'm sorry, I'm glad I understand that better now, because it's a two-phase process for the design, but both designs start construction as on this schedule on July 14th, 2025. Am I correct? Do I have that right?
I think there's just one design.
Yeah, construction cannot start
there's two
prior to
phases.
July 14th.
Yeah, there's
What's the difference? I'm not understanding the two phases if
They're
there's.
sequential. They're sequential, not,
Okay, so phase 1 is design and phase 2 is construction?
yeah.
Well, why don't we just call them that instead of,
Phase 2, construction contract.
okay.
Will environmental be done on 100% design or 30% design?
I think we'll hear the hope is we will hear exactly how it's going to be done from the proposals.
Okay.
Right, that makes sense.
That's the key of their proposal, right? We want to know what they're offering us.
Okay.
And Tanya, correct me if I'm wrong, at the time that the contractor gives the guaranteed maximum price, they would have completed at least 60% of the design, am I right?
That's right.
For member agency planning processes, do you have any wild and very broad, not specific, wild guesses about what this may run? I'm not asking you in today's dollars, because we're 2 years out, so that's a lot of dollars later, but in today's dollars.
Yes, can you?
Yeah, Tanya, I believe this was presented to the board with the cost when the preliminary design was presented by SRT in the month of January.
Right, and we said that was also in consultation with the member agency engineers. The construction cost was $11 million.
Okay. In today's dollars.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the schedule, and so, at least, our city is looking at budget, between about March, and June, with approval in June. And then, Sam's on a similar schedule, but not completely the same. So will we have enough information to get stuff in our budgets for fiscal year 25, 26? Not be under the gun like the last minute to include something in our budget. Like, will we be able to get enough information to budget appropriately for the next fiscal year, 25, 26?
If we have the GMP by May 31st,
Yeah, so.
and we know the end date should be June 30th the following year.
But I mean, it would be helpful to have, information about the GMP before May 31st, because, we usually have a draft budget, early in May.
Yes, it might be possible to get an indicated price, but to get an actual GMP from the contractor before May 31st might be difficult because they're awarding it only in November. So as it is, we've cut down a lot of time for them to give us a cost. So we might be able to get an indicated price which we can fill it into the budget and then.
Yeah, I think we should shoot for that.
Yes.
To have at
Yeah,
least
we can.
as close to real, budget information as
Yeah.
early in May as
If
possible.
they could at least, as early as they could, manage to kind of bracket that number.
Exactly,
Yeah.
we can get a range and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, I'm not gonna hold you to it, but we need to plan.
Yeah, because, when you have a structural deficit like we do, we have a lot of things we gotta balance, and so it would just be helpful to have as close to real information as possible, as early in May as possible, earlier if possible, but.
I mean, once they're in, once they've got the contract and they're into phase one, they've got to start narrowing that down. They're gonna wanna sharpen that pencil to the last day, right, because they're managing their risk. But they should be able to give a bracket, I would hope.
I think a bracket would be helpful, yeah.
It's a good idea.
And the proposal for this is more or less to install the new higher technology pipes alongside the old ones. So we're not looking at major additional impacts.
That's right. The idea is to minimize the impact, thus minimizing the level of environmental review.
Well, thank you.
And, we might communicate that, if one of the proposers addresses our budget issue better than the others, that would be a waiting point, If we understand the finances here.
So as much advance notice as possible would be really helpful.
Yeah.
So, board members, do you want to, if you're ready to get to the point, if the questions have been exhausted, I was going to make a recommendation to you as to what motion you could make if you're prepared for that.
Could you please stop sharing, Tanya?
Go ahead, make a proposal.
Okay. Well, just trying to, one thing that needs to happen as part of the progressive design build process is you need to have approval of the shortlisted. That's kind of part of the process. There needs to be approval of the shortlist. So we need to do that. And then we need to authorize sending out the RFP. So it's basically a simple, it's two actions. Approve the shortlisted progressive design build contractors to bid on the RFP, and authorize the general manager in consultation with the general counsel to send out the RFP to the shortlisted consultants once the RFP has been finalized. And I say finalized because I still think it needs some tightening up. We're not asking the board to approve the form of the RFP today. It's just there for your review. It still needs some work, in my view. So that'll be something that we need to tweak, although I think we can have it done pretty quickly.
So you're proposing a slightly different motion from what's in the agenda.
Slightly, but not much.
So breaking it into two, I move to approve the shortlisted design build teams as follows: Anderson Pacific's Waterworks Engineers, Mountain Cascade, Carollo, McGuire and Hester, MNS.
Do we have a second? Second. All right, any further discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Clark?
Aye.
Director Ryback?
Yes.
Director Boyd?
Aye.
Director Slater Carter?
Yes.
Director Radek?
Yes.
Chair Dye?
Aye. All right, someone want to tackle the second half?
I move that the board authorize the general manager to issue a request for proposals to the shortlisted design build teams.
Second.
Okay, yeah.
Well, he had you want to propose your amendment to?
Well, I'm not a board member, so I'm just making sure that we can do this in a way that we have some flexibility, just once finalized with any additional changes needed.
I'm sorry,
Once
say that
finalized
again?
with what?
Just once finalized, once the
What-
RFP is finalized. Yeah.
Once the RFP is finalized.
Okay,
I'll second.
is there a second for that? Yes.
I did.
All right, any further discussion? Is it clear what the motion is? All right, do we have a roll call, please?
Director Clark?
I'd like to make a comment first. I actually think that's a pretty optimistic schedule. In my experience, the state agencies that will review this don't like to deal with, they're always swamped with work. They don't want to look at 30% plans at all. They don't even want to hear about 60% plans either. And they normally demand 90% plans for review and approval. And still, it takes a long time because, like I said, you know how many projects have to go through every one of these state agencies. So I would be happy to see that schedule met, but I think we have to anticipate that it's really pretty optimistic. And with that, I'll vote aye.
I'll vote yes.
If we're doing a roll call.
They started the roll call without you kissing.
Sorry. Director Clark?
Aye.
Director Ryback?
Yes.
Director Boyd?
Aye.
Director Slater Carter?
I,
Director Radek?
Yes.
Chair Dye?
Aye. All right, well, congratulations. A big step forward for Sam.
Thank you.
Moving this along. All right, moving on to general manager's report.
Okay, you have the packet for the month of May. You have the entire report for the month of May in your packet. I just wanted to also give some additional information that for those of you who have not been to the Princeton pump station last week, a couple of them have come. Just wanted to give an update that the Princeton pump station project is almost complete. We were able to test it with water today, and we plan on testing it with sewer tomorrow. And if everything works out well, then it'll be live starting tomorrow.
Wow,
Great.
great.
We only have this
Great
surge
job.
tank, which is yet to come, that'll be coming in August. But for the past 20 plus years, we've operated without a surge tank. So that is not an issue. But hopefully everything will work out well, and we'll be able to go live starting tomorrow. Just wanted to give an update.
Yes, my compliments to everyone involved in that project. It's really great. And it's exciting to have a whole new facility there that's the latest technology.
I know, it's beautiful.
I
Yeah.
have a quick question. since we're looking at this design build thing, if we had done that project 15 years ago, what percentage, it cost us what, $3 million?
So about 2.6 million, yeah.
Yeah, so what would it have cost us if we had done it 15 years ago?
Less.
I don't know. But to tell you,
That's my very scientific answer.
I will look then.
yeah, but when Vivian was our interim manager at SAM, and she put this Princeton pump station in her CIP, that was in 2013 or 2014. She had given about 700,000 as a budgetary price at that point of time, just to give an indication.
That just makes the example of why we should get these things done sooner.
And we are. So
Finally.
many projects are getting done.
Yeah.
All right, any, general manager's report, anything more?
No, that's it. Anybody has any questions on the report? Staff is here to answer.
All right, moving on to attorney's report. Attorney's report?
Jeremy,
He froze?
Frozen.
He just froze.
It's deep in thought.
Uh-oh.
It's Zoom thought.
Yeah.
No, it's
All
frozen.
right, well, shall we come back? Do we have any director's reports?
Okay.
No director's reports? Do we have any topics for future board?
I would like that AB, whatever it is, I'd like us to keep up with that.
I agree.
It makes a difference for our budgets.
Yeah. Do we have Jeremy back?
Jeremy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I sure am. Will you guys? Yeah, I can now. I got knocked off there just right at the wrong time. Sorry about that. I have no general counsel's report other than I was actually going to bring up some of the items that Director Senator Carter adroitly brought up. So nothing further.
Okay, great. And then shall we adjourn to closed session?
Please.
Yes.
We should.
Good.
Great.